Recording in progress.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. My name is Patrick Osewe. I'm the head of Regenesis Kenya. And I'm very happy to welcome all of you to this very interesting seminar that we brought for you three experts, some of the leading Kenyan experts and thinkers in serious innovation in terms of cybersecurity and digital transformation. And so Regenesis, for those who don't know us, we are a business school with headquarters in South Africa. We've been around for 28 years. We have a presence in 10 African countries, and we are the most digital tech university in the continent. We do a lot of training in the digital field. We also do a lot of consulting and for organizations that require a very highly specialized expertise. We also do corporate training. We have some of the largest clients in the continent and also in the world. We have over 1,000 corporate partners around the world. We are also doing a lot of capacity building in entrepreneurship. So our country, Kenya, is going into is leading the digital transformation in the continent to continue the vision of President Kibaki of being the digital, the Silicon Savannah of the African continent. So we are happy to be part of that journey, and Kenyans have embraced technology. But with every major success, there are challenges. The security of this technology, in terms of the integrity of it, irrespective of whichever sector, whether it's the health sector, financial sector, education sector, is always a challenge. So our experts today will talk about the challenges that we face, but also share their perspectives on this journey. I'll start by asking them to introduce themselves, and then we'll start our conversation. So Alfred Kinoti, over to you for introductions. You're muted, Alfred.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alfred Kinoti. I'm a security and compliance professional. I'm trained in investigations, ethical hacking, and intelligence collection. My background is in banks, humanitarian organizations, and private companies, helping them understand one big question, which is how do we stay secure and ethical in a world that's becoming more digital by the day. So currently, I lead MetaHack Labs, a research initiative that was born out of curiosity. We wanted to understand how people, machines, and ethics intersect in the real world. So apart from work, when I'm not working on risk frameworks, I'm hiking. And to say Mount Kenya is on my next to-do list. So that is all. Hiking reminds me that every summit starts with one careful step, and that's how we build ethical systems, such as what we'll be talking on today, one decision at a time. And looking forward to today's conversation. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Alfred. My family hiked Mount Kilimanjaro. I'm the only one who is left. And so since you like hiking, perhaps we'll do that together. The next expert is Gloria Nyaboke. Gloria, the floor is yours for introductions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Patrick and Alfred. I think I'll also be joining the hiking very soon, so tag me along. So I wear many hats. As you've heard, my name is Gloria Nyaboke. Currently serve at Kingdom Bank as an ICT risk manager. So I've worked in forensic and audit investigations. I've also had the privilege to work previously in accounting, and now also with a background in IT, which is my training in course. Then I pursued a cybersecurity course, and that's how I got into the ICT risk management. So I provide assurance And also besides that, I also serve at the ISACA Kenya Charter. For all of us who know ISACA is a global association for information security and controls audit professionals. So anyone who's pursuing cybersecurity or any risk ICT or IT audits, then this profession help us to be able to stay together and abreast with various trends that are happening in the market. So currently, with my expertise in cybersecurity, I support the bank in providing assurance from a second level to just ensure that we're compliant with any regulatory requirements and able to support with the cybersecurity framework or any supporting frameworks like the ISO 27001 and other frameworks to support in improving our information security. As I said, also wear many hats. I'm a mother. I'm a cybersecurity enthusiast. I support or mentor young women. Currently, I have volunteered for the Women in Cyber volunteership, which is run by Standard Chartered Group and Strathmore. I've also worked closely with Cybersecurity. We also work as an alumni committee member to also support in ensuring that young professionals who are joining the cybersecurity workspace in Kenya have more or less a reach out to us who've been able to come along this way so that we can support them in that. So looking forward to having a very interesting and insightful conversation with all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gloria. In preparation for this meeting, I was telling Gloria how I lost some money through my bank, and she gave me advice. So if any of you you face similar challenges, Gloria is here and can provide you independent advice. Thank you so much for being part of this group. The next expert is Tony Isaka. Tony was facing challenges earlier with connection. I don't know whether, Tony, you're able to turn your camera on. If not, you can just introduce yourself through voice. Tony, over to you.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. Doesn't mean easy on my side. I'm already having a bad day, but I hope things will be fine. Actually, I've just another machine, and I'll be getting it in the next few. Sorry for the delay. Yeah, it wasn't planned, but things happen the way it has just happened. Okay, I'm Tony Isaac, criminology and security risk management professional. I'm currently serving as security risk controller at Lady Askari Limited. Yeah, my day-to-day roles entails vulnerability and risk assessments from the physical, digital, and operational risk. Yeah, I think today's theme is very timely. Following the future we are talking about is already here with us. And as we see, I think how they are happening across all industries. We are seeing evolutions from, let's say, the technology or now we have low activities. Yeah, the world is quickly evolving from a simple state to a more complex state. So I think our theme on AI is also cybersecurity and digital transformation is a very good theme. I believe you're going to have a good interaction, and you're also going to be able to learn from others, also to share ideas and to learn, and also to relearn. I'm glad to be here, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Tony, for that. So last week on Thursday and Friday, we had a two-day training on AI that was continental. There was lots of participants who participated in that. There was a lot of conversations and discussions regarding AI. Today, we are focusing on specific aspects, and I would like us to hear this perspective that focuses mostly on cyber threat and issues of cyber security and how AI is all integrated into that. So I'll start with Alfred and ask you the first question, Alfred. So as AI becomes more embedded in our HR operations, from hiring to performance management, what ethical and data protection challenges should organizations prioritize? Over to you, Alfred.
Okay, thank you for the good introduction from everyone. And I'll jump straight to the question. So I'll start at the very beginning. When we say artificial intelligence or AI, what do we really mean? So I want to think of AI like a very clever student who learns from examples. So you show it thousands of CVs and you tell it, these are our best hires, or these are the people we are looking to hire. So it then starts to notice these particular patterns. Maybe it sees most of your past hires went to certain schools or lived in a certain area. Now, because this is a machine, it doesn't understand things like fairness or culture. It assumes the pattern equals success. So if that particular history of the former recruitment was biased, AI will be biased too. So let me take a look at 3 big ethical challenges that I've interacted with personally. And one is bias in recruitment. So we are seeing a lot of companies using AI to actually sort applications quickly, even promotions themselves, and giving other incentives to staff. So, but when I look at this particular data that we are using, many a times it's very unbalanced. So I'll say it includes some of those things, such as when you're doing recruitment, probably you're targeting candidates from one particular area. We'll talk of urban, right? We are in Nairobi right now. So the AI might think the upcountry applicants are less fit. And that's a real risk where access to certain education or technology differs by location or even by region. I'll give another example. Would be, imagine your school had a rule that only children with blue shoes were chosen for a choir or a presentation in school. So after 5 years, we train our AI to pick new choir members, and we actually use the previous information. So what it does, it picks only blue shoes, and because that's what it saw in history. So that's what is happening, especially in hiring, when past data is actually isn't fair. If your past manager was or managers were male, AI may start preferring male CVs, not because it's sexist, but because it's mathematically consistent with what you presented it. So bias isn't intentional, and that's what we are seeing. It's more of inherited in this case. I'll jump to the next challenge as well. The next challenge will be the data protection and consent. A lot of AI tools collect a lot of information. I'll give an example of HR because this is what we are talking on. Resumes that we are collecting, CVs, cover letters, manifestos, voice data from some of the interviews, personality tests, and probably under our laws, which is now the Data Protection Act 2019. As employees or as people looking forward to be employed, we must know where that particular data goes and how it is used and for how long and where it's stored. And yet many companies, in many cases, use cloud systems. I experienced such a case when I was listening to a debate in Parliament about where that particular website is hosting or where the database is. So many of these cases are outside Kenya, and we find there's no full transparency in some of those things. So the question here becomes, who owns your career data? Is it you or even the algorithm? And now this brings a challenge of data protection, the consent. You given consent to actually process your data outside the country. And this brings another challenge of cross-border sharing of information. We find that some of the recruitments happen even outside the country. So another challenge would be accountability and transparency. So I've had also cases of where the shortlisting is done by the AI or some of the systems you have put in place. So if an AI rejects your application, there's a lot of questions that come in. And the question is, who explains why you're actually not shortlisted? Is it the HR officer in charge of that particular recruitment? Is it the vendor of that particular system or the AI system that we are talking of? Is it the algorithm that actually decided to leave you out from proceeding to the next step? So this is what now majority of regulators or people actually in the space are now calling a black box. It's a problem. So decisions without explanations, we cannot tell you why you actually left out, because it's a set of rules that were put in place, remove this particular group, and ethically that's very dangerous because people lose trust when they can't appeal or understand the process. So probably back to you, unless now we wish to talk about how do we fix some of these biases and also challenges that we are facing there. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Alfred. Just to push you on this issue of boundary data management or storage. If someone is on Facebook, where's their data?
I think the database is not locally, unless we have some here that are here locally, but I cannot give full details pertaining that. But your data is basically where their database is. If it's in the US, that's where it is.
Yeah, so that's
why probably.
Go ahead, sorry.
And this is where now we are seeing a lot of notices coming in on a lot of social media platforms that we register on. And this is something that we do not go into depth to actually read, which is now the terms and consent form that comes when you're actually doing the registration. Majority of us just make the tick, I consent, but you have to go through your data, how it will be processed, how it will be stored. The notices mentions how you can request that data to be deleted permanently. You do not want your data to be used by a third party. So this happens when you're doing the registration, but majority of us do not actually go into the details of reading that particular consent form or notice that is placed by these platforms.
Thank you. I think that's a challenge because we talk a lot about boundary data management, but then we are also members of all these other websites that are stored elsewhere. So perhaps we can come back to that later. Gloria, thanks again for joining us. I just wanted to ask you that ICT risk is now a business-wide concern. How can leaders contribute to building a cyber resilience across the workforce?
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Terry. And I think I'll base also my thinking around what Alfred has done. He's done a very good introduction to just help us understand what is this AI that we keep hearing about. And one of the interesting facts that I got to learn about AI from one of the tech leaders, that is Dr. Catherine Kamau from the industry, is that AI has been in existence since the 1953. So the technology has been existing. It's just the optimization in the use of it that has actually become well versed and well known recently. So AI has actually been here with us. But the question is, have we been using it? And the answer is no. So now that we want to optimize or get to another level of using this, then how are we going to do this? When it comes to thinking of any strategic or thinking of risk as a business strategy, we want to, first of all, appreciate the fact that nowadays, when it comes to board reporting or even regulatory reporting, risk has been embedded in processes. We want to make sure that when you're thinking of business, when you're thinking of how to approach the customer out there, then you come in and embed ICT risk. And ICT risk will come in from an aspect of we are digitizing our products, we're digitizing our processes. We no longer want our customers to be using or providing solutions that are not digital. So the moment we speak digital or digitization, then we have to bring in ICT risk on the table. So then how we're going to do this is ensuring that we can be able to embed this where we're embracing risk as not a showstopper, but actually as an enabler. We want to look at what is it that we are trying to get out there for our customers, for our clients, for our own business. What is the advantage that we're looking at? And when we look at business, we want to think of numbers. So if today a bank is hacked, that's a financial loss. Okay, the hacking does not happen because somebody just walked into a bank and held someone on gunpoint. No, this is happening through the digital platforms or the technology that we're using. So in this case, we want to ensure that on that leadership table, we have risk management representation in that. And how this helps is, first of all, setting the tone from the top. We have the board embracing risk management as a function. From our governance or our leadership aspect, do we embed risk management in this? From our board discussions, our strategic, our senior management discussion, are we setting the tone for risk management from the top? Number two is realizing that when it comes to any cyber attacks, it's no longer an IT problem. If a cyber attack happens today, it's actually a business problem. There's brand reputation that comes with it. This regulatory or any penalties that will come with it. We have ODPC. They have, if there's a data breach, there could be a fine. If you're regulated, let's say within IRA or CBK regulation, there's a fine that comes with it. So there's a financial cost that comes with that. So that now we no longer want to look at cyber attacks as an IT problem. We want to look at it as a business problem. And then we sit on that table and able to provide solutions for that. There's awareness and upskilling. We want to ensure that our IT teams are not just there to provide the technical expertise they require, but embedding this aspect of risk management to them, where if you're developing a solution and innovating a particular product, then you have to embed all these aspects of risk management in it to ensure that it covers the customer so that the end user is not exposed from a product that was not securely developed. And then we want to ensure that we have cross-functional collaboration. We no longer work in silos. Businesses no longer work in silos. The business team have to work together with the IT team. They have to work together with the risk teams. They have to work together with even the market or the outreach teams to be able to work together and have a high level of collaboration to ensure that we cover, are able to provide strategic value for customers. I'll give an example of a case that was done by IBM. There was a story, or there was some rumors out there, or some story about IBM getting rid of their HR function. And actually, when IBM came out to defend that, they had brought in an AI model to be able to support or to meet some of the routine tasks. That such decisions were driven or were strategic around ensuring efficiency to ensure that they can be able to deliver the best from that. So when we bring up these discussions on the business table, then we can be able to embrace or uphold technologies that are here to provide efficiency, support the business in meeting their strategic values, but then we still need to embed risk management in this. Thank you, and back to you, Dr.
Thank you so much. I'll come back to some of the things that you talked about. But the immediate question I have for you is that because financial institutions have money, and money is something that people want to have access to, whether directly, legally or illegally. Do financial institutions work together to protect your turf, or each individual institution just protect itself?
And let me not be quoted. Financial institutions, we guard other people's money. So we are here guarding other people's money. The request not to be quoted. So no, there are collaborative efforts, and I will speak through maybe to associations like the KBA. So the Kenya Bankers Association is actually it's an association where, as banking institution or financial institutions regulated under CBK, you register as a member. So with that, we have collaborative efforts to be able to ensure that we have CBK as a regulator. So CBK also provides insights and advisories that are able to help. I'll give an example of, let's say a fraud is happening. If today a fraud is happening with bank A or financial institution A and B, what happens is there will be an advisory shared out through either CBK or KBA to inform that. So these peers and these associations help financial institutions to have intelligence that helps us to be able to guard even when a fraud is actively happening in the market. So these intercollaborative efforts are very key, where financial institutions now no longer look at each other from a competitive point, but we're actually leveraging on such knowledge and intelligence to be able to make our strategies or improve our defensive and preventive method. So there's better collaboration, I would say, within the financial institution to just ensure that we can collaborate using the intelligence that a different bank this is happening. When we share that to the other, then also supports. And from a national level, there's the CSAT. So the national SAT, which is under the Communications Authority of Kenya, also does share insights for attacks that are targeting the Kenya or Kenya as a country. So we are able to also leverage on that to be able to increase our defense mechanisms and preventive. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll now go to Tony. I think that now you're connected through video. Is that correct, Tony?
Okay, Dr. Like as you can see, when you see now my camera is on. When I turn it off, it's turned that way. It becomes totally dark when it is on.
Okay, so we'll just continue through voice. We can hear you loud and clear. So the question I have for you is that cybersecurity threats often originate from human error. What practical steps can organizations take to strengthen the human firewall within organizations? Over to you.
Okay, thank you for the question. I think, having mentioned that, you are absolutely right. Technology alone cannot secure an organization. People are the last and the first firewall. You realize that in most organizations, actually currently, we're having the good technologies, but the employees, in many cases, they tend to be the weakest link. So in coming up with practical solutions on how to strengthen the human firewall, first, I think it will be to build a culture of a shared responsibility. When I talk of a culture of a shared responsibility, I basically means that in most organizations realize that security, when it comes to matters security, they're always left for security officers, left for the IT, or left for the HR to take charge. But you realize security is part of everyone's job. So in an organization, I think it is in order to ensure that in our daily activities, operations, we keep reminding our teams that security is an individual responsibility. And one of the best ways I think the organizations can strengthen this is through setting a culture. Okay, there is a quote by one Laura Alexander where she says that culture is strategy for the breakfast. In any organization, we have got a security culture. It starts with the pace that has been set just throughout the onboarding session, throughout monitoring, surveillance, all towards the offboarding sessions. So when we have got the best technologies, but we don't have a culture that promotes, it becomes a challenge, and that's alone, it's a vulnerability. So I think that one is the one of the strategies we can use to set a culture of a shared responsibility. Then the second thing is to make awareness continuous, not occasional. When you see many organizations, actually, I've been lucky to work in around 3 or 4 organizations, you realize that the compliance trainings are normally done annually, like in a year. But when you bring on that training that is delivering micro-learning moments, let's talk of short scenario-based nudges embedded on daily workflows, Like, for example, when we talk about the issue of email phishing, if you take it on a daily basis, then you train employees how they can detect and report such suspicious behavior. It becomes very easy. So coming up with that the continuous awareness training is very key. Then also another strategy that I've seen working best is simplifying security. Most cases, people bypass controls when they feel that the processes are cumbersome. We need to design security in a manner that are user-friendly. For example, let's say easy password managers, automated updates, and single sign-on, so that the secure way is the easiest way. Let us not use jargon when dealing to matter security. Sometimes, actually, some of the colleagues, sometimes they complain that security is a profession full of a lot of bureaucracy, which in some cases, it is a culture that is portrayed to the employees. So when you make this simple, it becomes very easier. Actually, untimely strengthening the human firewall is about security, part of the organization DNA, as I can put it, because something everyone naturally does, not that something that they have to remember over and over. So I think those are 3 strategies that when you put in place can strengthen the human firewall and make it easier so that security is owned by all the employees in an organization. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Tony. If I would just continue the conversation, how do you create this culture of shared responsibility?
Creating a culture of shared responsibility, actually, it's not something that's much very technical. Like, for example, when coming up with the SOPs are designed in a manner that they are going to guide on the steps and procedures we need to take in case of each and every incident. When you have that type of culture, let's say, for example, when an employee detects there is something like an email phishing, if you made it easier for them in case of such incident, how do we report it? By not complicating it. So on our daily basis, like for example, let's say you have encountered an email phishing today, it should not be let go that way. It should be a learning process. After the incident, we can even prepare the presentation and the slides. Then you bring on the team, you take them through how these theatrics are being performed. It becomes easier for them to understand. And that's what I mean when I talk about culture of a shared responsibility.
Thank you. Alfred, I think that this is a very good transition from what you are to share next, which is how does HR teams collaborate with IT to build resilience against cyber threats while maintaining a seamless digital experience for employees. Over to you.
Thank you. I think the conversation is getting serious as we get. Okay, so I wish to thank everyone for actually contributing because we're actually talking of the same thing. And at this point, I feel that cybersecurity is no longer a tech issue. I'll say this is my perspective. It's a people issue. And I'll reference probably 2023 IBM costs of data breach report. So they mentioned there was 82% of breaches which involved the human element. There was also error, there was misuse and phishing. And this is where probably we bring in now the HR and IT, merging what Tony has mentioned as culture. And I've heard him mention about the human firewall, and this is now the people that we're talking about. These are the people now to actually prevent some of these breaches from happening. And as I mentioned, what the HR and IT should do, I wish to mention a couple of things. And this will be one, that we need to have a joint risk governance, especially between HR and IT. And this is through shared risk dashboards. So the HR is able to monitor some of the behavioral trends. The IT tracks digital anomalies. So the dashboard has a number of things, but this is specific now to the HR and IT. So there is what Tony has also mentioned, which is continuous awareness training. So this should happen frequently, and we should not repeat what Tony has mentioned. So security awareness is a control, not a campaign. So this should happen oftenly, have trainings and happening more frequently. We had this while I worked at Qatar Airways. We had this happening. After 14 days, you have to sit down for a test to actually see how good you are at operating some of those systems. So the other thing will be the user experience balance. So security must be seamless. Too much friction. I see a lot of people come in with a lot of complex UIs or user interfaces. The logins are a bit too complex. There's a lot of friction, rigid access. So this pushes some of us users to bypass some of those controls. And that's a usability risk. I've seen a lot of individuals actually sharing login pages with their friends, and they're not utilizing theirs because of the process that goes in. So how do you actually ensure now the HR trains their staff to actually ensure they follow these particular policies or SOPs put in place to avoid some of these usability risks? The other thing HR and IT will come in is between data ethics integration. And I've seen this, two of the institutions that I've worked with, issues to do with policy, issues to do with computer usage, issues to do with the sharing of company information. So this must reflect digital behavior expectations, and this should be very well captured on some of these policies, not for performance and also the attendance I see on the biometrics. So this is a good thing that HR and IT should come in to ensure that the policies reflect actually the expectations of what we expect digitally. So I'll give a good example, be the Equity Bank of Kenya. They run more of a hybrid cyber awareness training integrated into HR onboarding. So every staff that comes in, they ensure that they are onboarded and align behavior with compliance and the CBK cybersecurity guidelines of 2019. I also see Microsoft, they normally use an AI-driven more of risk scoring to tailor employee awareness programs. So this has reduced phishing by almost 70%. So the message is HR plus IT, this is what we build or will build resilience by design. One of the leading cybersecurity experts says amateurs hack systems, but professionals hack people. I mentioned earlier on, I've done some medical hacking certificates, and what happens, basically, social engineering. So I understand you, I do a lot of raking on your behaviors, what Wi-Fi's you do, and all that. So collaboration is very key and must target human understanding, not just the technical controls and the jargons, what Tony has mentioned, and this will actually help. Yeah, that's my submission. Back to you, Dr.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me, Alfred?
Yes, loud and clear.
Oh, perfect. Gloria, this is a very interesting conversation we're having. What are your perspectives on these issues?
Thank you, Dr. for that, and Alfred for setting the tone of place for me. So it makes my work very easy to just chime in and give a better contribution or just add into what you have said. We started by talking about leadership and resilience, but we want our leaders to not only treat cyber security as a cost, but now embedding it as a culture where every innovation, we are able to balance the innovation with protecting the new. When it comes to talking of the HR or the people, and I'll give an aspect of the McKinsey way or the McKinsey scheme or model around change management. If you want to bring a change to an organization, for example, if you want to change the culture, you do not come in and start putting in policies, changing the look. You need to change the people. So the first aspect, or the aspect for any business when it comes to even ensuring that we're able to meet our business or strategic objectives, or the profits that we look for, is the people. So we first of all have to touch the people, ensure that these people have embraced this change for them to be part of. So when it comes to embedding any culture, you need to embed it with the people. Then how do you do it? Or what are these elements that you consider? Kinoti and Tony have talked about this awareness, where when the user walks in or that staff joins the organization, are they aware of what risks you face as an organization? How then are they able to either report or prevent themselves from this? Most attacks, look at even the ransomwares that happened. It was just either an intern who shared a password or just put in a weak password. And when we do not embed that awareness with the people, then we're losing it. So we have to, first of all, embed awareness. Number two is accountability. Accountability now will come into support in aspects of, for example, what roles or what level of risk we have for every person. Who supports with what? In the event that something happens or an hack happens, then who is supposed to support with either responding, preventing, or even mitigating that particular attack from being full-blown? So then how do we bring accountability? How do we have our users or the HR or our staff report to us when they see something? There could be weaknesses in systems. And this is what hackers or anyone will be able to leverage on to be able to compromise the institution. And how do we have a culture where people can be accountable to report? To just say, I received this phishing email, then you forward it to the relevant, either your cybersecurity team or your risk or your information security team, and they're able to look at it. So then how do we bring accountability to the table? Adaptability, how do we continuously learn from incidents? It's no longer a discussion of a fraud happened last week and the next fraud happens and it's the same modus operandi that was used, it's the same attack vector or the same. How do we continuously learn from this? How do we continuously learn and also embrace what is happening in the market? How do we ensure that we have intelligence or have the necessary threat intelligence to be able to support us to be better or keep abreast where we know this is what is happening? Then how do we come in and support or ensure that we're adaptable to even the changes? We have AI. We are actually using AI in systems. I'll use an example. If you currently have a Microsoft 365 in your organization, Copilot is embedded there as an AI, then how are we using it? Are we just adopting to the technology, but not adopting to the cybersecurity or the information security side of it? Then alignment, how do we ensure that cyber and this business falls, or are people aligned, they're interconnected, where cybersecurity is no longer a cost, but it's there to help or enable the business meet its strategic value. I hope I have done good justice to that question. Over to you, Dr. Ray.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I used to work for a financial institution for many years, and what they would do is every quarter, every employee was required to take a course on cybersecurity, and you were given 2 weeks to take the course. And if you didn't, you're shut out of the system. So basically, you could not function as an employee. So they will give you a warning that 2 days to go before you shut out, and then 24 hours. And if you didn't, you're basically shut out. The other thing that they used to do is to actually create a phishing email targeting employees to see who was going to respond, who is not paying attention. And that created that cultural change of behavior that you're referring to. But in some organizations, I don't see them do this. So I'm just wondering, what's the best way to highlight this issue so that we see that cultural shift? Because from what you're saying is, if one is under threat, everybody's under threat. Over to you, Gloria.
Thank you. How to shift or have other organizations embrace this? We started with the leadership. The tone has to be set from the top. So if leadership is embracing cybersecurity, they're having discussions on the boardroom about cybersecurity, then we can be able, as an organization, to be able to cascade this down. Like I started by saying, a culture or a change or a shift has to begin with the people. It has to be the people to change. And this can only be driven by our leadership. So we need to have these discussions in the boardroom. We need to bring this on the table. We need to bring realistic use cases. We are no longer talking about ransomwares in the UK, in the US. We are talking about ransomwares in Kenya, affecting even one of the biggest retail market like we saw last year, affecting our own, okay, our own public sector. So we want to bring in use cases that are able to help us to be able to learn from this incident. When you dig or go down to just get to inquire or get an analysis of actually what was the root cause of that, you realize it's a person either who shared a password or was just accessing the system through a public Wi-Fi, a free Wi-Fi like we talked about yesterday, or someone just decided to put their ID number as a password, and the IDs, they could as well just get a list of people's IDs and their names, and leaving browsers with history of passwords, and someone just was able to check in and it's logging into some login page. It's publicly available. So then it comes down to the people. So we first need to set the tone from the top, bring the people through that particular change, where we are not just coming in the morning and you realize your system has to have a two-factor and you do not understand why. When you're part of the change, then you are able to embrace the change and it becomes easier for us to embed that in the culture. Thank you.
So if each citizen asks you to save your password, Alfred, is that something that we should do?
I wouldn't want to wish or talk. I'll be sounding anti-government at this.
I didn't mean it like that. I was just
what I would recommend, because these are databases and your password is saved somewhere else. Again, what are hackers doing? They're actually targeting some of those databases because they know this is good money, because what they do is this particular database can be collected and sold on the black market. So I would advise you saving your passwords in any, no matter how much you pay for it, it's not recommended, because any hacker that gets into that, all of your credentials are out there. Yeah, that's my recommendation.
Thank you. Tony? Any thoughts?
Yes. Definitely, my answer is no. Reason being, let's say, for example, in the Google Play Store, if somebody can be in position to trace your email address or access your Google account, is in positions to see all the passwords you're using in different applications or sites. So I don't think it's a good idea. That alone is a vulnerability on itself. Actually, other than that, I will even recommend we should have a two-factor authentication code. Even if someone accesses the password, they will still need to receive another call, either via the mobile number, which I know in most cases is with the person. So it's not a good idea to have them saved on the Google or any other sites.
Thank you very much. So on this issue of cybersecurity, so about a year ago, our founders came to Kenya, and one of the experts who was part of the panel that we organized was like you guys, cybersecurity expert. I used to love cybersecurity expert, but now I'm afraid of you because what he did, he said he could send an email from me to my boss in our own system. And I said, that's impossible. We are the experts in digital. And he said, I can do it. And he asked me for any of my email address. And he entered my email address and got all my email addresses since I started working. And because he knew I was working for Regenesis, he then sent an email from me to my boss using computer for my boss to approve the invoice that he had sent. And I was just stunned on how easy it was. He's sitting next to us. We had three of us, and he's sending an email from me to my boss in our own Regenesis system, which I thought was very secure. So in light of that, what should organizations do to ensure that their data is secure? I mean, their systems are secure and that such things don't happen. What are the perspectives of cybersecurity experts like you? I'll start with you, Alfred.
So for me, basically, it would be what he did is doable, especially from where I sit, because these are systems created by people, and definitely someone else will crack that particular system. So this would be for organizations and even individuals. It goes all the way from the start. Cyber hygiene, that's what I would start with. Even before you actually getting into that organization or company, you have to adopt a high level of cyber hygiene, ensuring that clicking of links, downloading apps that do not have security features that meet the criteria. Basically, from your end as an individual, not as an employee, ensuring that you have high-notch cyber hygiene. The other thing will be, we'll go back from the start, the onboarding process, ensuring that people understand the NDAs, the policies of the organization, especially when it comes to IT. How do you operate that particular laptop that you have? Do you use it to actually play with at home? Is it a tool for you back at home? I'll give a scenario of gamifying or gamification, the game mechanics, where probably it's more of like it works in security and risk culture. So why does it work? I see it as it hijacks what we call dopamine pathways. So the progress feels kind of rewarding. So some of this gamification in what we do as an organization really helps in actually ensuring that people actually attend to and actually come to participate in some of the things. It creates a kind of social proof where other people feel, or you feel engaged with your peers or with your academic friends. And it reframes fear into more of curiosity, wanting to learn. And I see, Daktari, you actually resonate with, you enjoy cybersecurity. So people explore how hackers think, feeling blamed. So even I'm seeing right now, some of these things that we are using, the ChatGPT, they have blocked some of the things from being used. So this goes back also to the organization itself, the IT policy. What is the policy dictating in terms of usage of company or laptops, the phones that are given to you? Because these are the easiest of links to actually get into those particular systems. The internet, how is it managed by the IT officer? So I think the management bit of the IT policies that comes in, it turns compliance into community, and we are all defenders. And not you might cause a breach, but we are all actually focusing on defending the same thing. And this becomes more competent, autonomous, and connected. I think that would be my take. Over to you.
You used a very strong word, dopamine pathway. That's being a medical doctor. That's what you do or use a lot in mental health. So it was good to hear a cybersecurity expert talking about the brain like that. Thank you. Gloria, any thoughts on this?
Thank you. I concur with what Alfred has said. And I think for me, when I was listening to your scenario, the first question I asked myself, Is the vulnerability on the system or is it the person? How much are we willing to share? What if you had not shared that email? So the question is to us as users or staff, what if you had not shared that information? Okay. So how much information or data have we put out there? Then how as organization are we securing the data? What is our IT policy? Who has access to what? Number two is secure design. From the beginning, when you're innovating or coming up with a digital solution or technology or a digital platform, are you building it on a secure design? You have an architecture that has embedded security in it. When you're developing that source code, is your software development actually embedding security in this? So the question is, it comes from the beginning, from the security of the design and how now you're going to secure the system and the data that is coming to be collected. Then shadow IT, which also Alfred has talked about in terms of what your IT policy is. What solutions or what applications of softwares do you have within your organization? Do you know what, if, for example, a user walks into the IT department and is assigned a laptop or a computer, the question is, what else are they going to install in that? Are you aware of what they have installed? Do you have some backloggers or anything that is actually collecting information behind without you knowing on the back end what is actually happening with that user's machine? So shadow IT is also a very big discussion that organization needs to have, because we as human beings, we really love free things. But you know, when it's free, you're the prize. So we love to install a lot of applications that help us to be able to work effectively. But the question is, what is behind that application or that system or that software? So we need to look at design, secure design, vulnerability, both from the human aspect and from our systems. Then how do we secure data? Then shadow IT, which also lines to our IT policies. What are IT policies and what is acceptable within our IT environment? Back to you.
Thank you. Tony, any thoughts?
Okay, thank you. One disadvantage of speaking last is you might end up getting all the points gone by earlier speakers. Okay, we not have much, but I think what Alfred has said and Gloria are just, there may be just word on the risk policy. I think that is the one that both of them have not touched. Do we have a risk policy? Then now is risk policy design. Do we have a policy that the employees themselves understand why, for example, and organizations take the data from them, how the data are used, and how they are stored? When you create such a sense of where people know why their data is, for example, is with the organization, it becomes much easier. And how do you assure them that the data we have about them is safe? Okay, then following the example you shared of your boss, okay, I've also encountered one scenario where one of my former bosses, if you could find your laptop open on the desk but you're not there, you could simply sit down, write a resignation letter, and send it to himself. So by the time you're coming to your desk, you will get a message from him. Your resignation is approved. Okay, it is not that you are resigning, yes, but he was just trying to explain to you how by leaving your laptop on mode keeps your data exposed to other people. And you find in such a manner of drills, when we encourage them in any organizations, people become very careful on what even they share online. For example, in many organizations today, we have got the work email, but we realize in some instances, some people steal the company data, they transfer it to personal emails or send it to other emails. What are some of the strategies do you have in background that can be monitored remotely in case such events occur? So I think by having such in mind, it will reduce the chances that our data is leaked to outsiders or the hackers. Then the next thing I can also discourage is the use of open Wi-Fi, mostly the public Wi-Fi. When I was in campus, I had got some colleagues from other departments. Most of them were studying the computer science. If your laptop is connected to the university Wi-Fi, they have got a way in which they access your own information and they can access your laptop remotely. And realize these are some of the instances that even you, the laptop owner, you don't know that somebody is remotely accessing your information. So when you come up with scenarios in which, let's say, organizations' data, a third party cannot get into it and infiltrate or to get such data, that helps us to keep our information safely. Yeah, I think that's all I can add for now.
Thank you, and thank you, Tony, for that example. It reminded me of many years ago as a very young scientist. My boss bought a brand new sports car, red in color, and it was very, very nice. And on April Fool's Day, this was 2 months after she purchased it, I went to the office and I told her that, I just passed the parking lot and a big truck has just hit your car. And she was so upset that she rushed out, almost shedding tears, going to the parking lot. And I chased her to tell her that it was an April Fool's Day joke. And she was so upset with me that I've never joked again on April Fool's Day for many years. So I think that resignation letter example is a good one, whereby if someone, they come back and they find that they've lost their job, we let them sweat a bit for a few minutes before we say, this is an example why you should not leave the laptop open. But I think that we are getting to some very serious conversations. And in our country, in Kenya, I see a lot of transformation going on in the health sector, in the education sector. A lot of things are becoming digital in nature, but the capacity to secure, for example, how do you secure 35,000 schools? How do you secure 6,500 health facilities that are all connected to share for reimbursements? And I just want to hear your thoughts on what is it that we can do as a country to ensure that we have the capacity to be able to secure our digital infrastructure as we expand from one sector to another. And I will ask Tony to go first because you're the one who went last time. Tony, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Okay, in response to your question, in most cases, you realize that the non-technical employees are the ones who hackers love the most because they always assume that it's somebody is either watching or somebody will take up the responsibility. So I think one thing that you can really look into up to is to relevant and having that personal training. Like for example, let's say, do people understand what's a confidential data? And if they do, how do they take care of the data? For example, if you tell someone that your ID, your national ID, is a very confidential document, he may take it lightly, as opposed to if you tell him, do you know if somebody accesses your ID, he can use it to either register a SIM card that can be used to fraud. You see, those are two types of communication. The first one, you're telling him that the ID is confidential. But in the second type, you are telling him how the ID can be used to participate in fraud. So by such type of communication, the information now sticks with the person. Okay, the other strategy is storytelling and gamification. For example, last year, I encountered a challenge when I was on shift. There is one of the sales staff that came and informed me that he has been on leave. Actually, that's a system we use when you are away for 30 days, the system automatically deactivates you. So in most cases, people, when they go for leave, their access rights have to be updated. So when he came back, informed me that he has been away on leave and is now back. For the sales staff, one unique thing about them, they are the type of people who can show to work, be it on a national holiday or on a weekend, because some of the things they use in the market, they pick them from the office. So when he came, I managed to activate the access, and keys are stored in the control room. And went and took the key and accessed the office. There was an asset that was stolen that day. It was on a Saturday. Then when it came on Monday, when other colleagues in the office came and they asked, there is an item missing in the office. Actually, when they came to the control room now to start looking for the traces, they realized that there was an individual who came and accessed the office on Saturday. That's when there was a communication that the said person had resigned almost 30 days ago. But you see, in this case, he came and said he has been on leave. Okay, what I'm trying to put in a nutshell is there that coordination or collaboration, because should have communication have come from the HR department that so and so has resigned, so the access right should be deactivated. It will have prevented us from giving the access. So in such a situation, you realize that some of these things happen due to lack of proper coordination within teams. So if you have that good collaboration, let's say from the IT team, the HR and the security teams, it makes the work a little bit easier. Then the next thing is the reinforcement behavior, not just knowledge. Training should not end with a quiz. We should reinforce key behaviors through nudges and recognition programs. For examples, rewarding teams that demonstrate secure behaviors on reports. Like for examples, a company can come up with a strategy of rewarding those people that detect things that will harm the organizations, but reported before they actually happen. So when you bring that culture of where we appreciate such, people feel motivated. There is one theory in criminology, I know Alfred is much aware of it, that talks of people attach value to behaviors that are more rewarding. If we are rewarding good behaviors, we're creating on a good culture. And the people attach value to behaviors that are more rewarding but are less costly. Yeah. So when we encourage these good behaviors, somebody can see that so and so was awarded because of liking this and this. It brings on that good culture that help us to reduce such issues. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Tony, for that. Gloria, do we have enough cybersecurity experts in Kenya?
Thank you, Dr. for that. I think I would say the answer is no or yes. Depends with the level of expertise. You know, Alfred is laughing because I know there was a report that was actually very explicit saying we do not have cybersecurity experts. We are here, we are cybersecurity experts in this Kenya. The question is, do we have the specializations that are needed? For example, now looking at attacks that are AI related, the question is, do we have the capacity to be able to defend or provide some defensive and proactive and preventative defense when it comes to these cyber threats? So when it comes to, do we have cybersecurity? Yes, we do have. What happens with cybersecurity is, even Alfred will agree with me on this, we have different levels of hackers. So we have white hackers, we have purple hackers, we have blue hackers, and we have black hackers. The question is Kenya actually utilizing more of the white hackers? And then we're just leveraging on on moving our experts to being black hackers. Let's talk about the Mulot boys and the Juja boys. Those are cybersecurity experts for me, if you'd ask me. The question is, how then are we leveraging on that expertise or those skills that those people have? Because when it comes to cybersecurity, the question is, are you going to be the one who's going to extort money? Or are you the one who's going to actually utilize your knowledge to be able to support, to defend the extortion of this money from the black hackers? So when it comes to cybersecurity experts in Kenya, yes, we have programs like Cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is taking the young professionals who've done IT and giving them the basic cybersecurity skills ready for the market. So then are we absorbing this these people that we have? So the question to even organizations is, do we have space for cybersecurity experts in our organizations? Are we only relying on consultants? Does every organization or institution in Kenya actually have an IT or a cybersecurity expert within their IT department? Because we are all moving digital. Sorry, am I audible?
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you.
I may have been frozen, not you. Go ahead.
Okay, maybe there was a bug on your end. So like I have said, the question is not really whether we have enough. The question is, are we utilizing the talent that we actually have within the Kenyan market? When you look at the shift, it's like we are having experts, but then they are moving to become black hackers instead of being white hackers. So the question is, how do we shift now the narrative from these cyber experts that we have in the market? Then how do we shift the mindset to be able to onboard more of us to become blue teamers, white hackers, and hackers who are going to help us to be able to strengthen our defense mechanisms and not just extort or leverage on their skills to be able to extort institutions of their finances. Back to you, Dr.
But I'm just, okay, so thank you so much for that, Gloria. But I'm just wondering, if we look at our society and looking at what we are going through, we have e-citizen that is trying to expand to as many services as possible, government services. We were comparing that with what's going on in Germany. I mean, we are light years ahead of what most European countries have gone through. So that's a huge transformation in terms of government services. Then if you look at what we are going on in the health sector in a very rapid way, covering all Kenyans on SHA. If you're looking at what we're going through in the education sector, having many schools through the CBC program connected to the internet. The financial services, the transformation of mobile money in Kenya is more than many countries. All this require a capacity to be able to secure all this transformation. And I'm not in your field to understand cybersecurity inside out, but I'm wondering, is there sufficient training to be able to respond to these changes that we have in society? Alfred, over to you.
That's a good question, and I think everyone has tried to dance around it. So I think I'll give my take. And our best hackers should be on a payroll, not on police wanted list. I think that's my take on this. And the reason is to say this is recently we saw one of the best systems, which is Betika, which we see millions, and not only millions, billions of money in transaction. One individual, a school dropout, managing to actually penetrate such a system, which is quite a big system, and actually managed to withdraw or transact 11 million, a tune of 11 million Kenyan shillings. That's a big amount. So Kenya has brilliant minds in universities. We have a lot of, I've heard my good friends here talking about the tech hubs that we have in Kenya. We actually having so many of them, including certifications in schools offering some of the immediate courses such as programming, such as API, integration, learning, and all that. And we have a lot of ethical hacking communities. One time, I was being paid good money to actually hack into someone's email, money that I haven't been paid till now. So we have minds here. However, most of us never get structured opportunities to actually test systems legally or contribute to these particular question that you've asked. So how do we do this? We need to formalize things like bug bounty programs. We've seen them abroad, where people are actually paid to identify a system error. We saw BRS also being managed to be hacked. We saw some DDoS attacks. So DDoS is distributed DOS attack on a server where there are a lot of calls being made until it's unable to respond. So we need to have bug bounties for such programs, which now we are talking of e-citizen, the Huduma, and the likes that we have in the country. We need to also introduce certifications locally that are subsidized by government or CBK to actually enable some of these individuals who have these skills to be ethically certified and are able to professionally now or ethically conduct what they have learned from the schools or what they are self-taught. Because I think some of us here know that the majority of people in the space normally say school of YouTube. That's why majority learn some of these things. And I'm seeing there's a lot of YouTube is trying to manage that as well. So we need also to create a national cybersecurity, more of apprenticeship track under the TVETs and KEPSA, so that we have also those who don't manage to get to the university also have a chance to actually learn some of these things. Sponsor some of the things that we call them the CTFs competitions, which are linked to real world cyber defense scenarios. We have seen that in Singapore, where we have cyber youth programs that allow even university hackers to work for government agencies. That's why you see there was a conversation around the person who hacked Betika, that these people should be actually be working for the national intelligence. If they are able to actually hack some of these systems, they are good to actually get into government programs. Again, a good question is, do we have committees or do we have command centers? You know, Kenya has great frameworks. I've heard my good friend mention about the National Cybersecurity Strategy, the KSAT and all that. But our biggest gap, and Tony has mentioned, is coordination and execution. We need a national, more of a cyber fusion center where we have all the national security agencies like the NIS, the DCI, the cybercrime units, the units, the IT departments and all that, the regulators, the CBK, even the legal team, the ODPC, the private sector, the banks, the telcos, the fintechs, and all those, the utilities, and finally the academia and the ethical hackers who now are becoming what has been mentioned here, the black hackers. So this will actually help our critical infrastructure. They will help in conducting the mandatory risk assessments, the map interdependencies. So the more of security operations centers, the guy who was arrested to have hacked the Betika, in his own house, they found an operation center. He had a walkie-talkie, had a money counting machine. He had what a security operations center had, because some of this infrastructure is not actually being considered when we are coming up with budgets to actually secure some of our systems. So individuals will find them who have the capacity to actually do this from home. They actually go ahead to do it. Again, the other thing we'll talk of and being the main agenda today, AI will not save us from bad governance. We are collecting massive citizen data, yet governance lags behind AI adoption. We must embed all of these data ethics, private assessments in every new digital platform. So we need also to encourage a security culture. Awareness, I would say, is cheaper than incident response. So that would be my take for that.
Thank you very much for that. I think that what we've seen around...
May I interrupt?
Yeah, go ahead, Tony.
Okay, maybe just to add on something. I like what I mentioned earlier, and Alfred also talked about it, about coordination. Okay, you asked if there are cybersecurity experts in Kenya. Yes, they are. That's my answer. Even the hackers or cybersecurity experts. The challenge is, okay, someone is an expert, yes, but he doesn't or she doesn't have anywhere to work. He will use the knowledge he has to earn a living through means that he best understands to himself. So what I'm saying, they are experts, but some of them divert due to some of the conditions we have in the country. Like one reality we have in Kenya is the issue of corruption. It's really affecting in many ways. You go to organizations, they're cybersecurity experts, but they're not qualified for it. But in real world, if you go outside there are many of them, but they don't have the opportunities. That way, in some cases, you get that we suffer from brain drain. Yes, somebody is a cybersecurity expert in Kenya, but he's working in a certain country because there are opportunities. So those are some of the factors that when we look at, gets back to your question. Then the issue of hacking, we have got ethical and unethical. I think that's also good to clarify the two. Like, for example, if an organization has lost some ways that he made ethical hackers to help them recover the loss. Like there was some time earlier on where the Kenyan citizen had got challenge, though the government was in denial, but that was the reality by then. So you realize that even in as much as it seemed like we do not have much experts. Then the challenge also have with the cyber crime. Some of this crime, they are transnational. Or the best word I can use, they are borderless. Like for example, I've encountered a situation, investigation case where somebody was frauded in Kenyan shillings. When tracing out the movement, in a span of 5 minutes, the money was transferred from cash to euros to dollars. So you see, once it is transferred, let's say $2, it means it's already in, because we can check even the cryptocurrency, how it happened. Something is, fraud is done in Kenya. In a span of 5 minutes, that money has been transferred to someone in that way. So the money in a span of 30 minutes, we're not even able to trace this money. So that's one of the challenges we are experiencing in the industry currently. Borderless, it's a borderless crime. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much to all of you. It's 4:37. Our contract with you was to finish at 4:30. This has been very interesting. We're actually not have finished. There's still a lot to talk about, but I'm going to suggest that we organize a meeting that if you're available, you can come over to our offices at the GTC Center in Westlands to continue this discussion, particularly the discussion on capacity building and training our people. I see a lot of conversation going on regarding training people in AI, but I don't see a corresponding conversation regarding training people in cybersecurity, which is also equally as important, if not more important, because that could also be used by criminals, even by terrorists, to affect our critical infrastructure. I think that what I've seen in the financial services, where for many, many years, mobile money providers all over the world, and we organized such a meeting in Philippines a few years ago, they said they just could not get the right skills. Laura, like you said, are they the right technical skills that are required to move this agenda forward? And so it'll be important to define what are those skills in our country. What kind of training should we put in place? We have a lot of expertise in other jurisdictions, but we can all brainstorm to come up with something that's useful and relevant for our society, given where we are in our transformation, given where we are in terms of the rapid expansion that we are going through and the risks that you see every day as experts that are practicing in this field. So thank you so much, Alfred, Gloria, and Tony, for taking your time to prepare and to be with us today. We really appreciate the effort. This is not the end, but the beginning of a relationship that we'll have together, working together and supporting our country. Of course, we've determined that 3 of us might want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro at some point. Perhaps that's a good project for 2026, and because it takes 4 months to acclimatize to the weather at the tip of Mount Kilimanjaro. So you'll hear from us. I would like to thank those who spent a lot of time organizing this event, Fabian and team, and also the participants who have stayed until now that have been part of this, and also our team in South Africa that reached out to you initially to be able to be part of this. Thank you so much, Karabo and team, for doing this and for organizing this event. So thank you so much. You'll hear from us, and Alfred, Gloria, and Tony will get an email from us inviting you to come for lunch at our offices. Thank you so much, and have a good evening. Thank you.